Welcome to the Sleepy Christian. Tonight, we will be talking about the parables of Jesus. Gentle stories filled with meaning, mystery, and peace. These are the kind of stories that comfort the soul and calm the mind. As you settle into bed and begin to rest, ask yourself, where in the world are you watching from tonight? Whether you're drifting off under northern stars or wrapped in a blanket beneath the southern skies, this time is for you. Let your heart quieten as we begin. Have you ever wondered why some things grow in your life and others never seem to take root? Why some truths bring lasting peace while others fade like dreams in the morning? Imagine this: a quiet hill in the soft light of dawn. A man walks slowly, his hand brushing against a worn leather pouch at his side. Inside it, seeds, hundreds of them. He stops, reaches in, and begins to sow. No machines, no rows, no fences, just open ground and a faithful hand scattering life into the wind. Some seeds fall onto the path, packed hard by footsteps. They bounce and settle, but find no place to sink in. Before long, birds swoop down, plucking them away before they have a chance. Other seeds land on rocky soil, thin layers of earth stretched over stone. They sprout quickly, so quickly. You might think they were thriving, but the roots can't go deep. The sun rises higher, and those little plants, full of promise, wither and curl back into the dust. Still more seeds tumble into thorns. At first, they grow, green and alive, but soon the brambles creep in. Thorns twist around their stems, choking, strangling, stealing every drop of light. They are overwhelmed and overtaken. But then, some of the seeds land where the soil is soft, open, waiting. The ground receives them like a welcome guest. Time passes, rain falls gently, the sun warms. Slowly, steadily, something begins to grow, tall and strong and full of fruit, a harvest far greater than anyone expected. 30, 60, even 100 times more than what was planted. Now close your eyes and listen closely, because this story is more than just farming. It's about you, about the soil of your heart, about the way truth enters your life and what happens next. Maybe there have been times when a word of hope landed in you, but it didn't last. Life was too noisy, the ground was too hard. Or maybe you felt excitement when you first heard something beautiful, but as days passed, worries and troubles dried it up. Or perhaps you've tried to hold on to peace, but the thorns of this world, stress, distractions, fear, grew faster than you could manage. You're not alone. But here's the good news. The soil can change. The soul is not fixed. What's hard today can be soft tomorrow. The rocky places can be cleared. The thorns can be cut back. And the seed is always good, always ready, always alive. So what kind of soil are you tonight? Not in the eyes of the world. Not based on what you've done or failed to do, but deep down, beneath the noise. Can you feel it softening? Can you feel a readiness, a quiet yes somewhere inside? That's where it begins. Not with effort, not with striving, but with willingness, a simple openness to receive. You don't have to force anything to grow. Just rest. Let the seeds fall where they may. Let the truth of God settle quietly into your spirit, like a whisper carried by the wind. No pressure, no rush. The good soil doesn't try. It simply allows. It welcomes. And in that quiet space, something sacred begins. Something hidden takes root. The kingdom of heaven starts small, but it never stays small. It grows silently and surely, even as you sleep. Have you ever felt like you were drifting? Like no matter how many people were around you, somehow you were still lost. Maybe not in a dramatic way, not like running away or falling apart, but that quiet kind of lostness, the kind where you're still doing what you're supposed to do, but your heart feels far from home. Maybe it happened gradually, a little choice here, a small turn there. You didn't mean to wander, but somehow, without even noticing, you looked up one day and didn't recognize where you were anymore. If that speaks to you, then listen closely, because there's a story that was told long ago, and it begins like this. There was once a shepherd with 100 sheep, a big, beautiful flock. He knew every single one of them, by sight, by sound, even by name. And every evening, he would count them as they returned to the fold, his hand brushing gently over each woolly back. 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and then he stops. Only 99. One is missing. Now, if you had 100 and lost one, would you notice? Would you care? Would you go after it? This shepherd does, without hesitation. He doesn't pause to calculate, doesn't think, well, at least I have 99. No. His heart is already out in the hills. That one sheep, the tired one, the distracted one, the one who strayed, is all he can think about. He leaves the 99 safe in the fold and sets out into the night. The hills are quiet, the stars above shining faintly as he walks. He climbs rocky paths. He calls out into the silence. He looks under bushes, behind trees, across valleys and ridges. It's not an easy search. It never is when someone is lost. Hours pass, maybe longer, but the shepherd doesn't give up. His heart is anchored to that one sheep, and he will not stop until he finds it. And then, at last, he hears it, a faint bleating carried on the wind. He follows the sound, quickening his pace, and there, caught in the thorns, trembling with exhaustion, is the lost one. Dirty, tired, confused. And what does the shepherd do? He doesn't scold. He doesn't sigh in frustration. He doesn't walk away. Instead, he kneels down and gathers the little creature into his arms. He lifts it onto his shoulders, holding it firmly but gently. And then he rejoices. Not quietly, not secretly. He shouts with joy. He calls his friends and neighbors and says, "Rejoice with me. I have found my lost sheep." Now, here's where the story reaches us. Because whether you feel close to God or far away tonight, whether you've been faithfully following or slowly slipping away, the truth is this: you are seen, you are known, and you are worth searching for. God isn't waiting for you to get it all together before he comes to you. He's not watching from a distance, arms crossed, waiting for an apology. No, he's already moving toward you, already climbing the hills of your heart, already calling your name through the shadows. And when he finds you, and he won't bring condemnation, he'll bring comfort. He'll lift you onto his shoulders and carry you home, step by step, through the quiet night. You don't have to find your own way back. You don't have to explain how you got lost. You don't have to prove you're worth rescuing. He already decided that long ago. The shepherd never forgets even one of his sheep. And right now, as you rest, you can let go of the pressure to be perfect. You can stop trying to navigate your way through the thickets. Just lie still, like that little sheep, and let yourself be found. Let the arms of mercy hold you. Let the footsteps of grace carry you back to peace. You're not forgotten. You're not too far. You're not too late. You are the one he came for, the one he loves, the one he rejoices over. And as you drift into sleep tonight, let that truth settle deeper than any fear, deeper than any guilt, deeper than anything that tries to keep you from rest. You are safe. You are sought after. You are already on his shoulders, and he is walking you home. Have you ever looked at your faith, your hopes, your trust in something bigger than yourself, and felt like it was just too small, like a flicker instead of a flame? Like everyone else seems to have towering strength, deep certainty, powerful prayers, and you're holding on to something barely visible. If you've ever felt like that, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not forgotten. Because once, Jesus said something that changed everything. He said the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds, tiny, almost weightless in your hand. You could lose it with a single breath. But if you plant it, if you simply let it fall into the earth, it becomes something you would never expect. It grows, slowly, quietly, without anyone watching. And in time, it becomes a tree, large enough for birds to perch in its branches and make their homes in its shade. It's a story about seeds, yes, but more than that, it's a story about faith, about what happens when something small is placed in the right hands, about how God doesn't require you to have it all figured out, or to believe with loud confidence, or to live some flawless, shining life. All He asks for is a seed, the tiniest yes, the faintest hope, the fragile decision to trust. Even if your voice shakes while you say it, that's enough for Him. And maybe, tonight, that seed is already inside you. Maybe it's been buried for a long time, covered up by disappointment or silence or fear. Maybe you've tried to grow before and nothing seemed to happen. Or maybe you've been told that your small faith wasn't enough. But here's the truth. God never asked you for more than you could give. He sees what's hidden in you, the potential wrapped in stillness, the life waiting beneath the surface. And just like that mustard seed, what seems small now can become something vast, something steady, something that gives shade and shelter not only to you, but to others around you. Think of how seeds grow. Not with noise, not with speed. They grow in the dark, beneath the soil, in secret. They press gently against the earth until one day, without fanfare, a green shoot appears. That's how faith works too. It doesn't always look impressive. It doesn't always feel strong. But every time you choose to trust instead of fear, every time you turn toward light, every time you whisper a prayer in the quiet, your seed stretches a little deeper, a little higher, and the more you rest, the more it grows. The kingdom of heaven is not a kingdom of pressure. It's not built on perfection. It's built on grace, on small beginnings, on unlikely things becoming beautiful. And if you've been holding back, waiting for your faith to feel big enough before you move, tonight is your invitation to let go of that. Your faith doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be alive. It just needs to be real. Even a mustard seed can move mountains, not because the seed is strong, but because the one who makes it grow is. So as you close your eyes and let your body rest, imagine that seed within you, tiny, quiet, hidden, but full of life, full of promise. Let it be planted in peace tonight, not with striving, but with surrender. There's nothing you need to prove, no race to run, just this. Let your soul be soft soil. Let it welcome the seed, and let the work happen in silence. While you sleep, while you breathe, while you do nothing at all, the kingdom grows. One day, you'll look back and realize that what once felt so small, so unsure, so fragile, has become a great tree, strong and full of life. But for now, simply rest. Because that seed is enough, and in the gentle hands of God, enough is always more than enough. Have you ever made a mistake so big that you thought there was no way back? A choice, a moment, a season of your life where you drifted so far that you started to believe returning was no longer an option. Maybe it didn't happen all at once. Maybe it was slow, one decision after another, one missed moment, one broken promise, until one day you woke up and realized you were somewhere you never thought you'd be, far from where you started, far from home, far from peace. If that feeling is familiar, there's a story you need to hear. A story not just about mistakes, but about mercy. Not about guilt, but about grace. There once was a man who had 2 sons. And one day, the younger son came to him and said, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." It was a bold request, painful even. In that time and place, asking for an inheritance early was like saying, "I want what you have, but not you." Still, the father agreed. He divided what he had, gave his son the portion, and watched as the boy gathered his things and left. No words could stop him. He was chasing something he thought he needed: freedom, independence, excitement, maybe the promise of a life on his own terms. And for a while, things were good. He had money, he had friends, he had adventure, he had the world. But the world doesn't give without taking, and little by little, the money disappeared, the friends vanished, and the excitement turned to emptiness. A famine struck the land. He had nothing left, no home, no comfort, no one to call on. Desperate, he took a job feeding pigs, an unclean, degrading task, especially for someone raised in a place of dignity. He was so hungry that even the pig food started to look good. And in that moment, he came to his senses. He remembered his father, remembered the warmth of home, the meals, the shelter, the love. Even the servants there had more than he did now. So he decided to return, not as a son, but as a servant. He practiced his apology. "Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Just make me like one of your hired workers." And with that, he began the long walk home. Now pause for a moment and imagine the father. Days have passed, then weeks, then months, maybe longer, but every morning he still looks down the road. Every evening, his eyes scan the horizon, hoping, watching, waiting, and then one day, there, a figure in the distance, dirty, thin, walking slowly. The father doesn't wait. He doesn't test the boy's sincerity or stand with crossed arms. No, he runs. He runs down the road, his robe flying behind him, and throws his arms around his son. The boy begins his speech. "Father, I've sinned." But the father isn't listening to excuses. He calls for the best robe, for a ring for his hand, sandals for his feet. He says, "This son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And they begin to celebrate. A feast, music, laughter, joy. It's a story about return, about restoration, about a love that doesn't wait for perfection. And tonight, as you lie in your bed, maybe there's a part of you that feels like that son. Maybe not outwardly. Maybe no one even knows. But inside, you felt far, distant, unworthy, like you've messed up too much to go back. But hear this clearly. The Father is watching for you, always. He never stopped, and the moment you take even one step toward home, He runs to meet you. You don't have to come back perfectly. You don't have to come back with eloquent prayers or flawless faith. You just come with whatever honesty you have, with whatever little strength is left in your heart. God doesn't need you to be impressive. He just wants you to be His. The robe is already waiting. The ring, the sandals, the celebration. They've been prepared for you, not because you earned them, but because love doesn't keep score. Love remembers who you are even when you forget. You're not just tolerated, you're welcomed, you're embraced, you're celebrated. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, let that picture settle deep in your soul. The moment of reunion, the arms wrapped around you, the voice saying, "You're home now." Let that be the last thought you hold on to as your mind grows quiet. You are not too far. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are loved beyond measure, and your Father is already on His way. Have you ever wondered what real treasure feels like? Not the kind you find in a store, or tucked away in a bank, or locked up behind glass. Not the kind you can count or spend or hold in your hands, but the kind of treasure that lives deep in the quiet of your soul. Imagine a man walking through a field on an ordinary day. Maybe he's there for work or just passing through. Nothing about the field seems special at first. The grass is tall, the earth is dusty, the sky is wide and silent above. But as he walks, something catches his eye. A glimmer, a hint of something different just beneath the surface. He kneels down, brushes away the dirt, and there it is. A treasure, hidden away, forgotten by everyone except the ground itself. For a moment he just stares, heart pounding, knowing he's found something beyond value. He carefully covers it back up, keeping the secret to himself. Then, with joy that can't be measured, he goes and sells everything he owns. All the things he used to think mattered, he lets go. All the little worries and comforts and distractions of his life. He trades for the chance to come back and claim that hidden treasure. Because he knows, deep down, without a doubt, that what's buried in that field is worth more than anything else he's ever had. This is what Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is like. It's not flashy, not obvious. Most people pass by without ever noticing. It's hidden, quiet, waiting to be discovered by someone who's paying attention. And when you find it, really find it, nothing else will ever be the same. Everything you thought was important fades in comparison. All your striving and searching, all your anxieties and needs, all your endless lists of things to do, they become weightless, as if they were never yours to carry. Because now you know the truth. The greatest treasure is already within reach. And then Jesus spoke of a pearl. Imagine a merchant who spends his whole life searching for pearls. He knows what is valuable and what is fake. He's seen every shade of white and every glimmer of gold. But then one day, he finds a pearl unlike any other. Its beauty is so deep, so pure, that it stops his breath. Without hesitation, he goes and sells all he has. His possessions, his plans, his old dreams, none of them matter now. All that matters is the pearl. The single perfect thing that makes every other pursuit feel small. That's how it feels when you finally realize the value of God's presence, the peace that settles into your soul when you stop searching everywhere else. You don't have to travel to distant lands. You don't have to be richer, smarter, or more impressive than anyone else. The treasure is close, closer than you think. Sometimes it is buried beneath ordinary days, waiting in the quiet spaces between your thoughts, hidden behind the noise and busyness of life. Maybe you felt it, a whisper of something more, a longing that words can't explain, a sense of peace that visits you in the quiet hours of the night. That's the treasure, that's the pearl, and it belongs to you, not because you've earned it, but because God delights in giving it. Maybe tonight you're wondering if you're worthy of treasure like that. Maybe you've spent years searching and you're tired. Maybe you feel like you've missed your chance or lost your way. But here's the secret. The field is yours. The pearl is waiting. You don't have to do anything grand. You don't have to prove yourself. You simply open your hands. You let go of what doesn't satisfy, the worries you can't control, the regrets you can't change. You rest, and in that rest, you discover that the treasure is already within you. Peace, purpose, forgiveness, love, a quiet light that can never be taken away. Let yourself sink into that truth tonight. Imagine what it would be like to stumble upon treasure so deep and beautiful that you would gladly trade every burden just to hold it in your heart. Imagine the joy of knowing that everything you truly need has already been given to you. There is nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing lost that cannot be found in the presence of God. Let that peace settle over you now, gentle as a blanket, steady as the ground beneath your feet. You are the one who has found the treasure. You are the merchant with the priceless pearl. And as you rest, remember, the kingdom of heaven is not far off. It's here, quietly, waiting for you. More precious than anything you could imagine. You don't need to search anymore. You only need to rest and let the treasure within you shine. What is it that holds you up when everything else starts to shake? When the storms come, when the night gets long, when the world feels unpredictable and wild, what is it that keeps you standing? Life is full of days that feel steady and peaceful, but it's also full of days when things get stormy, when the winds howl and the rains beat against the walls of your soul, and all the plans you made start to feel fragile and uncertain. In one of his simplest and most powerful stories, Jesus spoke of two people, both with the same goal: to build a home, a life, a future, a place of safety and belonging. Each one set out to build a house. On the outside, maybe they even looked the same, walls rising, roofs in place, doors welcoming you in from the weather. But there was one difference, hidden beneath the surface, invisible to anyone just passing by. One builder dug down deep and set the foundation on solid rock. The other built on sand, eager to see results, thinking perhaps that it didn't really matter what lay underneath. For a while, both houses stood proud. There were sunny days, gentle breezes, laughter and light pouring through the windows. It's easy to believe things will always stay that way. But then, as always, the storms arrived. The sky grew dark, the wind whipped around the corners, and the rain came down in sheets, pounding on every roof in the land. Water rushed in, swirling around the base of each house, testing what could not be seen. The house built on sand shivered at first, then shook, then, slowly, almost quietly, it began to crack. The ground beneath it shifted and slid away, and with a great crash, it collapsed, unable to withstand the pressure. But the house on the rock, it was different. The rain still fell, the wind still screamed, the water still tried to find its way in, but the house stood firm, unmoved. The foundation held it steady. It didn't matter how fierce the storm, how relentless the waves, how deep the darkness grew outside. Inside, there was stillness, peace, security. It's easy, sometimes, to focus on what we can see, our achievements, our image, our routines, the walls we build around ourselves. But the real strength of a life is always hidden beneath the surface. It's not about how impressive the house looks. It's about what holds it up when nothing else seems sure. Maybe you've had days where it felt like you were building on sand. Maybe you've tried to find security in things that shift and slip away. Approval from others, success, control, even just the comfort of knowing what tomorrow will bring. But sand is always moving. It never stays the same. You can spend your whole life rearranging it, trying to make it solid, only to find that it never really holds. But there is a rock you can build on. A foundation that doesn't move, even when everything else does. That rock is love. That rock is grace. That rock is the quiet, unchanging faithfulness of God, holding you up when you feel weak, keeping you steady when the winds blow hardest. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to hold everything together by yourself. You only have to trust the foundation that has already been given to you. Tonight, as you rest, think of your life like that house. Let yourself remember the times when you've been through storms, and yet somehow you're still here. You've been carried, held, protected, even when you didn't realize it. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every gentle decision to trust instead of fear, every time you return to hope instead of despair, those are the stones in your foundation. They build something unshakable, something real. And when the next storm comes, and it will, you won't have to be afraid. The waves may rise, the winds may howl, but the house will not fall, because it is built on the rock. So as you close your eyes tonight, let go of everything that feels uncertain. Let the worries drift away like the wind and rain outside, unable to touch the foundation underneath. Rest in the assurance that you are already anchored, already secure. You are not alone in the storm. The strength beneath you will never give way. You are safe. You are held. And in that place of peace, you can sleep, knowing the storms will pass, but your foundation will stand forever. What does it really mean to love your neighbor? Not just the people who are easy to love, not just the friends and family who already care for you, but even those who are strangers, outsiders, or people you're taught to avoid. Sometimes love is easy when it fits our plans, when it doesn't cost us anything, when it makes us feel good. But the story Jesus told about the Good Samaritan goes deeper, reaching into places where love feels inconvenient or uncomfortable, or even risky. Imagine a quiet, winding road stretching from Jerusalem down to Jericho, a place known for its danger, its bandits, its sharp turns and lonely stretches. Picture a traveler making his way down that path, maybe with dreams in his heart, plans for his day, hopes for what waits at journey's end. But then, suddenly, ambush. He is attacked, robbed, stripped of what he owns, left hurt and bleeding in the dust. A silent figure on the side of the road. Time passes. The road stays quiet. Footsteps echo in the distance. And here comes hope. A priest, someone who knows the words of God, someone who should stop, someone who you might expect to help. But he sees the broken man and crosses to the other side. The footsteps fade away. Later, another man comes, a Levite, someone respected, someone who serves in the temple. He slows down, looks at the wounded man, maybe even feels a pang of sympathy, but he too chooses distance, choosing safety, choosing to move on. The silence grows heavier, the wounded man grows weaker. Maybe he starts to believe that help isn't coming at all. Then, footsteps again. Someone else is coming, but this one is different. A Samaritan, a person whose very name would have sounded foreign, even threatening, to the broken man on the road. In their world, Samaritans and Jews didn't mix. They carried centuries of bitterness, misunderstanding, wounds that never seemed to heal. No one expected the Samaritan to stop, but he does. He comes closer. He sees not an enemy, not a stranger, but a fellow human in need. His heart is moved with compassion, and he kneels in the dust, right beside the pain and the danger. Gently, he tends the wounds, pouring oil and wine to clean and soothe. He tears his own cloth for bandages, lifts the man onto his donkey, and carries him to a place of shelter. Through the night, he stays nearby, making sure the injured man is cared for. And in the morning, he pays for the man's healing, promising to return and cover any other costs. It's easy to believe that love has limits, that there are lines we don't cross, people we can't help, hurts that are not our responsibility. But in this story, Jesus shatters all those boundaries. The true neighbor is not the one with the right background, the right beliefs, or even the right intentions. The true neighbor is the one who sees suffering and moves closer, who feels compassion and chooses action, who loves not just with words, but with time, with care, with the willingness to be interrupted. Maybe tonight you find yourself feeling like that wounded traveler, left alone by the side of the road, hurt by life, passed by, overlooked, wondering if anyone sees the pain you carry in secret. Or maybe you've been the ones who passed by, busy with your own plans, unsure what to do, thinking someone else would step in. Or maybe, just maybe, you've been like the Samaritan, taking a risk, letting compassion lead, letting your heart be moved even when it's hard. Wherever you find yourself in the story, the invitation is the same: to receive mercy and to give mercy, to allow love to come to you, unexpected and gentle, when you most need it, and then to let that love flow outward, even to those you don't understand, even to those who may never repay you. You don't have to cross the world or solve every problem. Sometimes, being a neighbor is as simple as noticing the pain right in front of you and choosing not to turn away. Sometimes it's a kind word, a listening ear, a quiet prayer for someone you barely know. Sometimes it's forgiving the wounds you carry so that you can offer healing to others. As you lay down tonight, imagine the road to Jericho winding quietly through your thoughts. Picture yourself both as the one needing help and the one offering it. Let the barriers fall away, the old fears and judgments and disappointments fading into the background. In the gentle space of this moment, allow yourself to be cared for. And then, as you rest, let your heart stretch a little wider, ready for tomorrow, ready to be surprised by compassion, ready to love beyond the limits of what's comfortable or familiar. Because every act of mercy, no matter how small, echoes with the voice of God. And in that echo, you are both healed and made a healer, carried and given the strength to carry others. Let that kindness settle into you now, soft and deep, holding you safe through the night and filling you with hope for a new day. Have you ever wondered if what you do really matters? Maybe you've looked around at the world and felt invisible, like your efforts are too small to count, or your place in the story is not as important as everyone else's. Maybe you've watched others succeed and wondered why your part feels less valuable or overlooked. There's a story Jesus told that speaks right into the heart of this feeling. He said the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. The day was fresh, the sun just rising, and the landowner found people waiting for work. He agreed with them on a fair wage, a denarius for the day, and sent them into his vineyard. As the day moved on, the landowner went out again, at the 3rd hour, the 6th hour, the 9th hour, each time finding more people standing idle, and each time inviting them to join the work, promising to give them what was right. Even at the 11th hour, when the day was almost done, he found a few more standing and asked, "Why have you been standing here all day, doing nothing?" They replied, "Because no one has hired us." And he said, "You also go and work in my vineyard." As the day faded and the evening approached, the landowner called his manager and said, "Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first." Those who had only worked for 1 hour came forward and received a full day's pay, a denarius, just like the first ones hired. When those who had worked all day saw this, they expected to receive more, but they too received the same. Grumbling began to rise among them. "These last worked only 1 hour," they said, "and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden and heat of the day." But the landowner replied, "Friend, I am not being unfair to you. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the one who was hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I am generous?" This story turns our ideas of fairness upside down. In the world, we are trained to measure and compare, to keep score and look for recognition, to work for our place and prove our worth. But the kingdom of God works differently. Here, grace is the measure. Here, generosity is the rule. It's not about how long you've labored, how much you've accomplished, or whether you started at sunrise or sunset. It's about the heart of the one who invites you in again and again, at every hour, at every stage, never missing anyone, never leaving anyone behind. Maybe tonight you feel like someone who was called late, who hasn't done enough, who's afraid it's too late for you to find purpose or belonging. Maybe you're haunted by the years you think you've wasted, or the opportunities that passed you by. But in this story, there is no such thing as too late. The invitation is always open. No matter when you come, no matter how long you've been waiting, you are welcomed, valued, rewarded with the fullness of grace. Or maybe you're one of the early risers, the faithful, the steady, those who have worked and served and loved through long days, quietly carrying the burdens of life. Sometimes it can feel unfair, seeing others arrive at the last minute and receive the same reward. But grace is not a competition. God's generosity does not run dry, and His joy is to give freely, to surprise with kindness, to remind us that we are all loved, not because of what we do, but simply because we belong to Him. In the vineyard of the kingdom, every worker is precious. Every story matters. Every moment spent in the field is a gift, not just the harvest at the end. There is no place for envy or resentment, only for gratitude that you have been called at all. As you drift towards sleep, let this story undo any worry about your worth. You don't need to earn love. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. You are already seen, already chosen, already enough. Whether you began at sunrise, at midday, or in the last light of evening, the invitation is the same. Come, take your place, receive what you need, and know that you are wanted. Rest in the generosity of God tonight, knowing there is nothing you can do to lose His love, and nothing you must do to win His favor. In the quiet of this night, let the grumbling and comparisons fall away, replaced by a deep sense of peace. You have been called, you are included, and the joy of the vineyard, the gift of the kingdom, is yours, now and always. There's something magical about waiting in the quiet, when the world slows down, and anticipation hangs in the air like the hush before dawn. Waiting can be hard, especially when you're not sure how long it will last, or when you feel uncertain about what comes next. There's a story Jesus told that wraps this feeling in a gentle mystery. The story of 10 young women waiting for a wedding. Each of them was invited to a celebration, a joyful gathering that would take place when the bridegroom arrived. Though no one knew the exact moment he would come, each woman carried a lamp to light her way, because the night was long and the journey into the feast would happen in darkness. As the hours stretched on, their eyes grew heavy, their bodies tired, the world around them silent and still. But the lamps burned softly, pushing back the shadows, keeping hope alive. Some of the women had planned ahead. They carried oil in small flasks, extra and unseen, prepared for the wait, ready for however long it might take. Others carried only what they needed for the moment, confident that the night would be short, trusting that things would happen on their schedule. But time has a way of stretching, of teaching us patience. The hours slipped by. The lamps of the unprepared began to sputter and dim, the light shrinking lower and lower, fear creeping in as the darkness closed around them. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, there was a cry. "The bridegroom is coming! Go out to meet him!" Startled awake, all 10 women rose quickly, trimming their lamps, hearts pounding with excitement and nerves. But for some, there was a problem. Their lamps had gone out, the oil all gone, nothing left to keep the flame alive. They turned to their friends, asking for help, but there was not enough to share. Each person's readiness could only come from their own heart. So the unprepared hurried away, running out into the empty night, searching for oil, desperate to find what they had not brought. While they were gone, the bridegroom arrived. The doors to the celebration were flung open, and the 5 wise women, with their lamps still glowing, entered the warmth and laughter and music of the wedding feast. The doors closed behind them, and the joy of the party filled the house, light and love spilling out into the darkness. When the others returned, oil finally in hand, they found the doors shut, the chance missed, the moment gone. It's a story about waiting, about hope, about being ready for the moments that matter, even when they come at the least expected time. But it's also a story about longing, about what it means to keep your lamp lit when you're tired or discouraged, about how to carry hope through the long watches of the night. Maybe you felt the ache of waiting, a dream delayed, a prayer unanswered, a longing that grows deeper with every passing day. Maybe you know what it's like to feel your flame flicker, to wonder if you have enough strength or faith or patience to make it through. But what if the oil for your lamp is not something you have to chase after? What if it's found in the quiet things, the small moments of trust, the gentle acts of kindness, the daily decision to turn toward God, even when you don't have all the answers? Maybe the preparation is not about striving or scrambling, but about letting your heart be filled, day by day, with peace and expectation. The wise women were not worried as they waited. They simply rested, knowing they were ready, trusting that the bridegroom would come when the time was right. They didn't fear the darkness, because their lamps were steady and their oil was enough. Tonight, as you wait for sleep, you can rest too. You don't have to hurry or be anxious about what's coming. Let your heart settle into a gentle expectancy, like someone waiting for a friend who promised to arrive. Keep your lamp lit with quiet faith, with hope that doesn't rush, with the kind of patience that trusts the story is still unfolding, even if you can't see all the pages yet. The celebration is coming, the doors will open, and when the time arrives, you will be ready, not because you worked the hardest or knew the exact moment, but because you let your heart stay soft and your hope alive. Let this night be a time of preparation, not with striving, but with peace. Rest in the gentle glow of your lamp, knowing that what is meant for you will not pass you by. The bridegroom is coming, the party is waiting, and you are exactly where you need to be, holding your light, waiting for joy, ready for what comes next. There's a certain wonder in realizing that you have been trusted with something valuable. Sometimes it's easy to believe that what you have to offer is too small to matter, or that your gifts are ordinary, lost in the busyness of every day. Yet Jesus told a story about a master who entrusted his servants with talents, a weight of silver, a measure of possibility, before he left on a journey. To one, he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to their ability. No servant was forgotten. Each was seen, each chosen. each given something precious to care for in the master's absence. The servants set about their days, deciding what to do with what they had received. The one who had 5 talents went at once and put the money to work, trading, investing, nurturing it, and he gained 5 more. The one with 2 talents did the same, using what was in his hands, and earned 2 more. But the one who received only 1 talent was afraid. He worried about losing what little he had, so he went away quietly and dug a hole in the ground, hiding the silver, guarding it in secret, hoping it would be enough just to keep it safe. When the master returned, he called each servant to him, eager to see what they had done. The first came, joy in his heart, and said, "Master, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more." And the master was delighted. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." The second came, also excited, bringing what he had earned, and received the same welcome, the same joy. But the third servant approached with his head down, burdened by worry and regret. "Master," he said, "I knew you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. Here is what belongs to you." The master's heart was heavy. He said, "You should have at least put my money on deposit, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest." The talent was taken from the fearful servant and given to the one who had 10. For the master said, "To everyone who has, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them." This story is about so much more than money or skills. It's about trust, about the quiet courage to use what you've been given, no matter how small it seems. About the truth that everyone, without exception, has something precious inside, waiting to be awakened. The master does not compare the amounts. He celebrates the faithfulness, the willingness to take a risk, the heart that steps forward with what is in hand. It's easy to be afraid, to believe that your life is too ordinary or that your gifts are not enough. Fear tells you to bury your talent, to keep your dreams small, to wait until you feel ready or until someone else tells you it's safe. But the invitation is to trust, to take even one small step with what you have, to offer kindness, to share hope, to use your gifts in ways no one else can. Perhaps tonight, you are thinking of the things in your heart that have gone unnoticed, the talents you set aside because you thought they didn't matter, the parts of yourself you buried because you were afraid. Maybe you've spent years waiting, guarding your gifts in secret, unsure if you'd ever have the chance to let them shine. But the master's joy is in seeing you try, in seeing you bring yourself to the world, not with perfection, but with courage, with faithfulness, with the gentle trust that what you have is enough. You don't have to change the world in a day. You don't have to compare your 5 talents to someone else's 10, or your 2 to someone else's 5. What matters is the willingness to begin, to use what is in your hands, to share what is in your heart, to believe that every small act of goodness ripples outward further than you can see. Let yourself rest tonight in the knowledge that you are trusted, that what you carry inside is beautiful and needed, that even the smallest gifts matter in the kingdom of God. If you've been waiting for permission, know that you have it. If you've been waiting for the perfect moment, let this be the one. In the quiet darkness, let gratitude rise for what you've been given, and let hope grow for all that is yet to come. Imagine the master's joy, not just in the results, but in your willingness to take part, to join the story, to invest the life that is uniquely yours. As sleep comes, let your fears slip away. Let your dreams open wide. You are the servant trusted with a talent. You are the one called to faithfulness. And in your hands, whatever you offer, large or small, becomes part of something eternal, something good, something that will last far beyond tonight.